right. The March 17th, 2026 meeting of the Seattle City Council will come to order. It's 2:02 p.m. I'm Maritza Rivera, Council President Pro Tem. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Kettle,
Here.
Councilmember Lynn, Councilmember Rink,
Present.
Councilmember Saka, Councilmember Strauss, Councilmember Foster,
Here.
Councilmember Juarez, and Council President Pro Tem Rivera.
Present.
6 present.
Thank you, clerk. If there's no objection, Council President Hollingsworth will be excused from today's meeting. Hearing no objection, Council President Hollingsworth is excused from today's meeting. There are no presentations today, colleagues. At this time, we will open the hybrid public comment. Should we do? Sorry, thank you. Colleague, Councilmember Kettle, I believe you have a.
We're going to do that now. We're going to do it.
Now? Do you want to be recognized?
Yes.
I recognize
Council President Pro Tem.
Councilmember Kettle. You may proceed. To read a proclamation. Oh, and for the record, Councilmember Juarez has joined us, as has Councilmember Rink and Councilmember Lynn.
Okay, thank you, Council President Pro Tem. I was thinking this is at the end of the agenda, but I will flex and say, well, first to everyone, happy St. Patrick's Day. I had the honor of being the Grand Marshal of this year's parade, which I'll just quickly show the sash, making it official that I was participating in. I will not put it on, no. Thank you. And but I think it's important on this day to highlight, and the work that I did over the weekend at the end of last week related to our sister city relationship with Galway, which is also a West Coast city, a port city. And we had a great visit from them with Mayor Mike Hubbard and their chief executive, Leonard Clearly, and their delegation. And so Council President Pro Tem, I just wanted to take the opportunity to read the proclamation that I read at a luncheon on Friday for here and for the record on this St. Patrick's Day. So the proclamation is a City of Seattle proclamation that notes, whereas the U.S. is home to the world's largest population of people of Irish descent, in the 2024 census, over 70,000 people in the city of Seattle identified as having Irish heritage. And whereas the 55th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade was held on Saturday, March 14th on Alaskan Way in downtown Seattle, with Councilmember Kettle serving as Grand Marshal in recognition of my deep love for the Irish culture and efforts to fostering opportunities and relationships between Seattle and our sister city, Galway. And whereas Noreen McCormick will serve as Honorary Grand Marshal in honor of her work in Seattle's Galway Sister Association, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. And whereas the Irish Heritage Club of Seattle's annual Irish Week features the annual Irish Soda Bread Baking Contest, the Irish Week Proclamation Luncheon, the laying of the green stripe on Alaskan Way, the parade route, the Emerald City Irish Film Festival, and the Irish Festival of Seattle, and the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So therefore, I, Katie B. Wilson, Mayor of Seattle, do hereby proclaim the week of March 7th through the 15th, and we'll add the 17th, to be Irish Week 2026. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to read the proclamation and to note everyone, whether they're from Ireland itself or they're of Irish descent, or as I noted to Council President Pro Tem today, everybody is a bit Irish, to have a very happy St. Patrick's Day. So thank you, Council President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilmember Kettle. All right, colleagues. Now we will open the hybrid public comment period. Public comment is limited to items on today's agenda, the introduction and referral calendar, and the council's work program. Clerk, how many speakers are signed up today?
We have three remote and
All right, we have 7 public commenters, so we will give everyone 2 minutes, and I will call the in-person speakers first.
And the clerk will read the instructions.
Okay, and how, clerk, can you please read the instructions for public comment? Thank you.
Yes, the public comment period will be moderated in the following manner. Speakers will be called in the order in which they registered. Speakers will hear a chime when 10 seconds are left of their time. Speakers' mics will be muted if they do not end their comments within the allotted time to allow us to call on the next speaker.
Thank you, clerk. All right, we will begin public comment with Timothy Hardis, then Orly Rose, then Howard Gale, and then Yvette Dinish. Timothy?
Hello, is it working?
Great.
You guys got me?
Okay.
Check. Okay, cool.
All right. Okay, you can begin.
Yeah, my comment is on Council Bill 121164 on restricting ICE from being able to use city facilities and having the Department of Transportation to print out signs. I got a couple questions on it regarding its clarity and effectiveness. I would say, let's go ahead and pass it as is, but here are some things I would like to see in the future. One, functional. So what does someone do when they actually see ICE violating this bill if it could just go into law? So we have the ability for enforcement through injunction with the court of contempt. Do you call the city attorney? Are we calling the police? What is actually happening? My request is, can we put out some sort of press that say, hey people, if you see something going wrong, this is what you do. Second, timeliness. If we're going through the court to get an injunction, is that going to be effective if we say, see ICE illegally coming and setting up on city property in the morning and then kidnapping our neighbors by afternoon? Is that going to be timely enough to actually be effective? Third, issue with enforcement. SBD and the Police Officers Guild have repeatedly said that they don't want to be going and identifying federal officers. If ICE is showing up in unmarked vehicles and not identifying themselves, how are you going to enforce to say, hey, it was a federal officer on city property? Are we able to put in some sort of teeth that says, hey, if you are on city property and you are a federal officer, you have to be identified. And not only that, that SBD, in addition to having body cameras on, has to then identify the federal officers. So kind of two flips to that. We've got to force SBD to actually do the job. And then the last one was the efficacy of this. So if it's just a slap on the wrist, if it's SBD literally sweeping ICE out of the city property, or are we going to say, is like, hey, if you're on city property illegally as a federal officer with ICE, is there fines? Is there direct arrest to the ICE agents? So I would say go ahead and pass what we have now, but I would really like to see press to the public of what do we do, and then any updates to give this more teeth. Because right now I think it's a great bill, but it doesn't have much hold.
Thank you, Timothy. Orly Rose?
Honorable Mayor, council members, and fellow Seattle residents. My name is Arlie Rose. I've been here before speaking to you through a Freedom of Information Act request to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF. I obtained records showing that Conterra Ultra Broadband and associated individuals, including Daryl Cosme, have directed millimeter wave technology at precise geographic locations and coordinates and frequencies right here in our region. These are not hypothetical signals, they are documented, targeted emissions capable of surveillance and physical harm. As a torture victim who has physically experienced these effects, I stand before you with evidence on my phone and through the EFF Online that is now public. Seattle prides itself on protecting civil liberties. I respectfully request that the council immediately open an investigation into local broadband providers and use of millimeter wave systems, demand full transparency on targeting capabilities, and pass an ordinance prohibiting unauthorized directed energy use against residents. Our safety and privacy cannot wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Orly. Howard Gale?
Good afternoon. 2 days from now on Thursday will mark the anniversary, one-year anniversary of the SBD murdering Urban Andrew CA while experiencing a mental health crisis in the parking lot of the SBD's West Precinct leaving behind his grandparents, his parents, his brother, his wife, his daughter, and many extended family members and friends. He became one of 4 people killed by SPD last year, 3 of whom were suffering a mental health crisis. How's the investigation going? We'll only know at a random point in time of the SPD and the OPA's choosing. Just a week before George Floyd was murdered in 2020, the OPA promulgated a policy for reaching out to the family of those killed by police. A policy, as far as anyone knows, has never been acted upon. The city of Seattle has erased him from life and then erased him from the public memory. Danny Rodriguez, Ryan Smith, Sean Lee Fur, Terry Caver, Derek Hayden, Rigoberto Brambilla-Piello, and are just some of the other names erased by our accountability system, people in crisis with a knife or nothing in their hands when killed by police. If you try to search for this case in the OPA website, you will find you can't. You are met with the OPA statement, quote, if you don't have the case number, you can email the OPA. This is after a decade of reform in which we were promised there would be a searchable database, which of course there isn't. But that's okay, because we know the outcome of the OPA investigation, rubber stamped by the OIG, ignored by the CPC, will be the same as it was for the past 15 people killed by the SPD over the last 14 years who are experiencing a mental health crisis in almost all cases with nothing more than a knife in their hands or nothing in their hands when murdered. So, is it any surprise the same police you licensed and sanctioned to unnecessarily kill, the same police that said to fellow officers last May, quote, we are past talking, we are here to fuck people up now, unquote, are the same police you refuse to require to keep immigrants safe and to protect everyone's Fourth Amendment rights. And I want to remind you, Councilmember Rink, last year at this time, I requested publicly that there be some forum, public forum, on police continuing to kill people in crisis. It's a year later. Where is that forum? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gale. Ms. Yvette?
Good afternoon. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First of all, I wanted to thank SPD for making an arrest in the murder of those 2 young men in Rainier Beach that was committed on January 30th. And that was relief, and I'm sure it's a big relief to our community. And also, yeah, I know that's a big deal. And also, Councilmember Kettle, Public Safety Chair, the $40 million for the Community Safety Program, if that's what it's called, that's allotted in this budget. Has the money started being dispersed yet, or have they decided where it's going to be spent? And is the RFP or the grant process open yet? Because I know there's some organizations that are doing some of the work in the community. It'd be nice to have them get some of the funding. And then also, one last thing about the camera situation. Another good reason to have those cameras is to catch the people who are leaving their dog poop all over my community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Yvette. I'll turn it back over to the clerk. Oh, there's more in person. All right, we've got Nathan Wall.
All right, thank you. Sorry for being late. I guess I just want to say, you know, I appreciate, again, the fact that you guys are putting forward legislation to protect us from ICE. I think that, you know, this is an example that pressure does work and that it is a good thing for people to come and participate in democracy and let you guys know what we care about. So I want to thank both you guys for listening to this, but I also want to thank the people that have come here and including myself, I guess, who have come here and asked you to pass these things, because it's important, and I also appreciate the unanimous votes. I also do share concern with SPD not protecting us from ICE. I know that Councilmember Kettle has worked on the professionalism standards with SPD, but I'm simply concerned that many officers have sympathies with ICE, and this has been something that I've heard about with what Howard has talked about with when the man who was harassing daycares in West Seattle and South Seattle, whose name is Robert Anthony McDonnell, by the way. I think it's important that we say his name because he's harassing our neighbors. But, you know, the cop that said that he wished that he was an ICE agent or that he'd be fine with ICE agents being in West Seattle, I would not be fine with ICE agents being in West Seattle, and I think that it's unacceptable that we've had this happen. I've also heard cops, I've spoken to cops about my concerns about what's going on at the federal level, and I've had people say to me, like, aren't you glad we don't have open borders anymore? Which is just not really, to me, that's not acceptable for a sworn law enforcement officer to be saying while on duty. So for those reasons, I just don't fully trust SPD to uphold what we're doing, especially with what Mike Solon has also said. So yeah, I just encourage you to pass Councilmember Foster's bill unanimously and also take these concerns into real consideration. So thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. I'll pass over to the clerk for the online public commenters. Thank you, clerk.
Okay, and for our remote public commenters, please press *6 when you hear the prompt that you have been unmuted. Our first remote speaker is Rose Legionnaires, to be followed by Charlotte Philippe. Go ahead, Rose.
Hello, my name is Rose Legionnaires. You all have heard me before. A couple weeks ago, I was on the way to the mayor's office where I gripped my heart and collapsed to the concrete. I, like many people in the city, have felt the effects of COVID in ways that most people didn't. Unfortunately for us, it was not something that left us. There are people in minority communities, the people that we look to as heroes, the people that worked at the grocery stores and other shops in our city while we patroned with masks on, that bore the brunt of what COVID looked like. For those in the transgender community and the Latino community especially, high rates of people have never had that leave them. There are individuals all over the city that are currently suffering in more ways than most people could imagine. I have spent the last 3 weeks in my bed slowly waiting for my body to heal, and I am one of the lucky ones because I have that capacity to do so. I have the capability for me to be able to bounce back when there are so many in my community that are not able to do so. We've had people in the last months and weeks talk about how desperate they are for us to crack down on ICE and to help them stabilize and have eviction moratorium so they can be safe, and things are just getting worse. We need more than ever more support. I do support like the moratorium on no facilities is good. Some of the other things that you all are planning to pass today are good, but we need to continue forward. Things are getting incredibly desperate for a lot of communities. Just today, Idaho's House passed a bill putting a 5-year second-degree felony ban on trans people that use the restroom. And things are heating up nationally. ICE is saying that if people have documents they don't like, they could also start incarcerating them. We got to start thinking a little bit bigger, a little bit more broader, because things are starting to get more dangerous more quickly. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charlotte Philippe. After Charlotte will be David Haynes.
Thank you, Madam President, Pro Tem, members of the Council. My name is Charlotte Philippe. I'm a resident of District 3. It is 421 days since the President took office and 75 days since Mayor Katie Wilson took office. Today, the Council will consider Council Bill 121-164 in furtherance of Mayor Wilson's executive order prohibiting civil immigration enforcement staging on property owned and controlled by the city. This bill is an important step in the city asserting its rights and responsibilities with regard to the rampant federal overreach we have seen across the country. The city is limited as to what it can do in response to ICE and federal law enforcement abducting and disappearing our neighbors, but this bill embraces what we can do, especially with respect to governmental independence and preservation of our status as a welcoming city, both de facto and de jure. Thank you to Councilmember Kettle for bringing this bill forward. I hope the Council will revisit this bill once it is adopted to give it a bit more teeth, and I expect this not to be the extent of this Council's action to protect it. I urge passage of this bill, as well as Councilmember Foster's data privacy bill before you today as well. Finally, I want to thank this Council for unanimously passing Councilmember Rink's bill at last week's Council meeting. Let's not let that be the end to your action. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is David Haynes. David, please press *6.
Hi, thank you, David Haynes. I think it was did you all see the Axios report on Seattle's public safety? It was like only 14 to 18% improvement. And there was a telltale sign that the evidence was that the police chief wrapped fences around all these areas in the downtown area and dispersed them instead of like trespassing them and like arresting them and questioning them. They allowed them to go to Belltown and Chinatown. It increased like exponentially. And why is it the council is giving the bad policies a pass when it comes to exempting drug pushers under 3.5 grams? That's unconstitutional. And we have a society that's imploding at the moment. And there's all these people that like to go out and sexually abuse the drug addicted in Capitol Hill and elsewhere. And they don't want surveillance, and they don't want to improve policing, and they don't want to shut down the drug pushers. But some people want to use the drug pushers to create all these junkie thieves that are stealing from other people in the tourist area and the business community area. And it looks like the Downtown Community Council got special privileges from the police chief, who allowed for them to just push everybody out of their doorsteps to justify the overinflated rates and act like it's safe for people to come on downtown. It's like people should boycott downtown businesses until they stop allowing for the bad policies that sweep the evil from their doorstep down the street to Belltown and Chinatown and elsewhere around this community, while praising the cops who are doing the wrong policies on purpose for an easier payday. And yet we got a council president who's on another privileged getaway, sharing the wealth of power with all you other suspect conflicts of interest that still self-deal with the comprehensive plan that are cheating the.
Thank you. There are no additional registered remote speakers.
Thank you, Clerk. We have reached the end of the list of registered speakers. The public comment period is now closed. Thank you for your comments today. If there is no objection, the introduction and referral calendar will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the introduction and referral calendar is adopted. If there is no objection, the agenda will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the agenda is adopted. We will now consider the proposed consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar include the minutes of March 10th, 2026, Council Bill 121178, payment of the bills, 8 appointments from the Housing, Arts, and Civil Rights Committee, 1 appointment from the Human Rights, Labor, and Economic Development Committee. Are there any items council members would like to remove from today's consent calendar? Hearing none, I move to adopt the consent calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
It is moved and seconded to adopt the consent calendar. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the consent calendar?
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Lynn.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Foster.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Pro Tem Rivera.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The consent calendar items are adopted. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the minutes and legislation on the consent calendar on my behalf? Will the clerk please read item 1 into the record?
The report of the Public Safety Committee, Agenda Item 1, Council Bill 121-164, relating to civil immigration enforcement, prohibiting civil immigration enforcement staging on all real property that is city-owned and controlled. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
Councilmember Kettle, as chair of the committee, you're recognized in order to provide the committee report.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem, colleagues, members of the chamber. I appreciate first the comments made related to public safety and the issues that we're dealing with today. Colleagues, it is important with respect to the federal government that we, the people, assert ourselves and our rights, whether as individuals or as levels of government. To not do so potentially cedes away those rights. You know, on this concept, this is something I saw and was familiar with in terms of international law from my time working in international affairs. It's important to exercise rights, to delineate those rights. And I should note, too, the Constitution delineates the rights appropriated to the federal government, but not those listed, but those not listed are then to the states, and by extension to us at the local level. And this is noted in the 10th Amendment as part of the Bill of Rights, and I have a book by John Meacham and also my copy of the Constitution. And Amendment 10 says, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So it is really incumbent on us as a local government to stand up for those rights. And that's what this staging bill, Council Bill 121164, is an opportunity for us as a city and a community to assert ourselves and our rights on the issues of civil immigration enforcement. This bill prohibits civil immigration enforcement and all real property that is city-owned or city-controlled. It's important, too, that not to look at this bill in isolation, but that it joins others passed or working through committee related to federal law enforcement, which again goes back to the first point about exercising the rights and laying out those pieces. It is very important. This bill also, and I recognize there's different opinions in terms of how far we should go in certain areas, but this bill represents a whole of city government approach with the important role of the city attorney's office. I think that's something that should be understood, that should be remarked upon, because it shows that we're taking this seriously and that we're also looking to protect our rights and do so in a way that is, for lack of a better word, professional, which goes to the previous bill that we did in terms of professionalism and standards. These pieces are very important, and to the various comments that we received, including Nathan's, Howard's, and Rose, and the first commenter, it is important to walk through these pieces. It's important to state what our expectations are. This is called leadership from a government perspective. And it goes to the standards in terms of no mask, and this is from the professionalism and standards bill. And to the questions that came up in public comment, the police directive says that they will respond. The police directive is quite clear that they will respond. And essentially, as I say it, it's about engaging, responding to that 911 call. It's about confirming that it is a federal law enforcement, as opposed to somebody pretending to be federal law enforcement. That's very important. So it's absolutely needed for SPD to do that, to confirm that. And as part of that process, essentially get a basic understanding of the probable cause that was behind the arrest by federal law enforcement or the action that's being taken by federal law enforcement, and to document whether it's body-worn video, cameras from the cars, and so forth. This is what they're doing, and the directive says that. And the chief of police has said many times that we shall do that, and that is the leadership piece here. Again, it's doing it professionally. The police chief also says respectfully. This type of engagement with federal law enforcement also shows that we are, a city that is doing it right, that we're engaging and we're professionals and we're standing up. And I think that is really important for us to note, and for me to note, particularly given the comments and the remarks made in public comment, because it all ties together. That bill, whether it's the professional standards bill I talked about, or the bill related from now Council President Pro Tems in terms of not just SPD, but the whole of city government in terms of the data sets that they have and what they're doing with them, to the other bills related to detention centers, for example, and then the other bills that are coming as well related to data privacy and some additional pieces that are coming on. This collection of bills, and today represented by Council Bill 121164, show us again standing up, asserting ourselves and our city on behalf of the city. And with that basic laydown of what we're doing here, colleagues, I ask for your support related to Council Bill 121164. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kettle. Colleagues, are there any comments? Councilmember Rank?
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Colleagues, I'll keep my comments brief since I sat in on Public Safety Committee last week and shared some remarks on this. I wanted to say thank you to Councilmember Kettle for sponsoring this legislation, as well as acknowledge Councilmembers Lynn and Foster for sponsoring and authoring amendments to expand the scope of city properties in this legislation. This is a step forward that our city can take, and we have more to do. And I will be voting yes today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rink. Anyone else? Then I will just say, Public Safety Chair Kettle, I want to thank you for your leadership as Public Safety Chair on taking up these various pieces of legislation. I agree we are doing as a body all we can within our legal bounds to bring forward all of these bills related to immigration enforcement in our city and our support of our communities in the city. This is the right thing to do, and I, too, will be supporting this bill today. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Kettle?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynn?
Yes.
Councilmember Rink?
Yes.
Councilmember Saka?
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss? Councilmember Foster?
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez?
Aye.
And Pro Tem Rivera.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you, clerk. The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Will the clerk please read item 2 into the record?
The report of the Select Committee on Federal Administration and Policy Changes, Agenda Item 2, Resolution 32194, reaffirming data and privacy protections for any person seeking or accessing city programs or services, requesting a review of the city's data collection and sharing practices to limit data exposure to the federal government and to other local, regional, and state jurisdictions, and requesting that departments incorporate privacy standards into future contracting requirements. The committee recommends the resolution be adopted.
Thank you, clerk. Councilmember Rink, as chair of the committee, you will provide the committee report, and then I'll recognize Councilmember Foster as sponsor of the item to provide comments. Councilmember Rink, you're recognized.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. I'll be starting my remarks first by thanking Councilmember Foster for her leadership on this, and thank you to Councilmember Saka for the technical amendment as well. As I mentioned in our Select Committee on Federal Administration and Policy Changes, this is an important resolution when it comes to assessing our data across the city and looking forward to getting the report back from the executive on this. This bill passed out of committee unanimously and ask for your support today. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to the bill sponsor to speak more to the bill. Councilmember Foster.
Councilmember Foster, you are recognized to speak about the resolution.
Thank you so much, Council President Pro Tem. Thank you for the report, Councilmember Rink. I appreciate it, and bringing this and hearing this in Federal Select Committee. I'll say a few words about this. I think over the last, few months that I've been in office, I've heard a lot from communities around concern, both here at public comment, and I thank the folks who've been showing up week after week, as well as the folks who I've met with out in community or talked to at events. And my principles on this have been clear, which is that we should do everything that we can, particularly when it comes to protecting people's privacy, and there's just a tremendous amount of concern there. I will say a part of this resolution reaffirms the city's existing commitment, and I find that to be important because it's important that the public understands what we are already doing so that they can feel safe and secure in accessing city services. The other part of that is that we know that in some instances, none that we have awareness of here at the local level, but in other instances, despite having data protections, there have been incidents where those where government collected data has been shared. And so we want to be proactive in our responsibility as local government to ensure that we are in full compliance with Keep Washington Working and our data privacy standards, not just for city government, but for the contractors that we work with. So I commend the leadership of the council, and I thank you, Councilmember Saka, for your technical amendment that brings back the previous work and highlights that, and I commend the previous council for that leadership. And I look forward to getting a report back from the executive this summer so that we can ensure that we continue to uphold the highest standards here in Seattle. So with that, I ask for your support, colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Foster. Are there any comments? Councilmember Saka, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Council President Pro Tem. I move to amend Resolution 32194 as presented on Amendment A on the agenda.
Second.
It is moved and seconded to amend Resolution 32194 as presented on Amendment A. Councilmember Saka, you're recognized in order to address it.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank the legislation sponsor, Councilmember Foster. Really do appreciate and value your leadership on this. Very thoughtful piece of underlying legislation. Appreciate the partnership as well from Councilmember Rink and getting us to this point on this really important signature piece of legislation to help all of us advance our shared goals. This is just a really technical and specific amendment that, to Councilmember Foster's point, acknowledges the origin and kind of history and the work that we're essentially building upon through this legislation. So I think it's fairly straightforward, but certainly very technical, and ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Saka. Colleagues, are there any comments on Amendment A? I don't see any comments, or hands up rather. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of Amendment A?
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Lynn.
Yes.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss. Aye. Councilmember Foster.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. And Pro Tem Rivera.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The motion carries and Amendment A is adopted. Are there any final comments, colleagues, on the amended resolution? Councilmember Kettle, you are recognized.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Also, thank you to Chair Rink from our Select Committee, and also to Councilmember Foster for this resolution. I want to thank all the above, partly from my role as Public Safety Chair, because this resolution is important in terms of reaffirming the data and privacy protections. For we cannot just assume, we cannot just believe that the direction given related to civil matters, in this case more broadly, but as mentioned, so immigration and others, is carried out or later updated as need be, given changes that may occur. By taking these actions and publicly doing so, it is very important to the point about leadership, but also the law, as mentioned before with Council Bill 121164, but also in terms of building trust with community. I think it's really important for us to take this action and to ensure, in this case, like the executive is doing its pieces, to help build that trust with community, particularly those communities that are most vulnerable. We need to engage. We need to show that we are taking the action and that we are essentially crossing T's and dotting I's to ensure that we're not making, because of a slip up or an oversight, that their lives may be made vulnerable. And so, again, thank you, Councilmember Foster, Chair Rinkin, in terms of the Select Committee, and Council President Pro Tem for this bill, or our resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kettle. Any other comments? Then, colleagues, I'll just say to Councilmember Foster, thank you for your thoughtfulness in bringing forward this resolution. I will be supporting it. So thank you. I just want to say in general, I appreciate collectively this body for working together to take these stances, these very important stances. Thank you. Thank you. It really shows like we are committed to working together to make sure that we're protecting all residents of our city, not just some residents. And I really feel a moment of just gratitude for everyone in bringing all the various pieces of legislation together. So thank you for that, colleagues. All right. Clerk, will you please call the roll on the adoption of the amended resolution?
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Lynn.
Yes.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Foster.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
And Pro Tem Rivera.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you, Clerk. The resolution is adopted as amended, and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Will the clerk please read item 3 into the record?
The report of the Governance and Utilities Committee, Agenda Item 3, Council Bill 121-166 relating to sale of public utilities, declaring real property identified as King County parcel number 162-3049-405, located at South 138th Street in SeaTac, Washington, to be surplus to the city's needs, authorizing general manager and chief executive officer of sale of public utilities or designee to execute all documents and take other necessary actions for the sale of the property in King County Water District 125. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Thank you, Clerk. Councilmember Juarez, as Vice Chair of the committee, you're recognized in order to provide the committee report.
Thank you, Pro Tem Council President Rivera, and I'm not going to thank anyone else, so just so you all know. This comes out of the Governance and Utilities Committee, and I'm doing this report on behalf of our Council President, Councilmember Hollingsworth. As Vice Chair of the committee, this is what was passed unanimously. The background on this is the Seattle Public Utilities Glacier Well sale. The SPU, that's Seattle Public Utilities, sold excess property in SeaTac. This property will continue to be used for utility purposes in King County Water District 125. And at the March 12th meeting of the Governance and Utility Committee, this was passed unanimously, 3 in favor, none opposed. And my understanding from the council president is that the Comcast franchise agreement, which was voted on in committee, will come to full council on Tuesday, March 24th. And that's it. So everyone vote yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Juarez. Any comments? Councilmember Strauss, you're recognized.
Really?
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Yes, really, today I'll share the same thing that I shared at committee, which is as we continue to dispossess of land, we need to begin by engaging in a government-to-government consultation with our federally recognized tribes until we formally change that policy here in the city of Seattle. Senator John McCoy would say that it takes 2 years of education to get a bill passed, and so this is part of my 2 years of education, that we need to change our dispossession policies so that we do government-to-government consultation with federally recognized tribes in the same way that this parcel had government-to-government consultation with the school district next door. The difference in this moment from all others is that it was a utility-based piece of land, and it will continue to be able to provide water to SeaTac in a utility framework. So thank you for listening.
Councilmember Strauss, Councilmember Juarez, you're recognized.
Yes, I need to respond to Councilmember Strauss. He is right about us not having consultation when we depossess land. And so for those of you watching, land back is more important than a land acknowledgement. Unless you're going to give us back the land, I really don't want to hear that we're sitting on stolen land. It does no one no good. But what you just heard Councilmember Strauss say, and what we've been working on for decades, is land back, recognizing the land base of the original people that lived here. So I'm not trying to blame anyone for virtue signaling or performative politics, but those of us who've been in the trenches in Indian country about land and sovereignty and government to government, this is such an important statement. So thank you for catching that. I didn't. So with that, I hope I have your support.
Thank you, Councilmember Juarez. Any other comments, colleagues? All right. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Kettle?
Aye.
Councilmember Lynn?
Yes.
Councilmember Rink?
Yes.
Councilmember Saka?
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss?
Aye.
Councilmember Foster?
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez?
Aye.
And Pro Tem Rivera.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? There were no items removed from the consent agenda. There's not a resolution for introduction and adoption today, other than the resolution we adopted earlier, I suppose. Are there any further business to come before the council? Councilmember Juarez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Pro Tem Council President Rivera. I'm asking if I can be excused from council on March 24th for the AI Summit.
All right. If there's no objection, Councilmember Juarez will be excused from the March 24th City Council meeting. Hearing no objection, Councilmember Juarez is excused from the March 24th City Council meeting. Is there any other further business to come before the council? Councilmember Strauss.
Thank you. I request to be excused from the April 21st full council meeting.
If there's no objection, Councilmember Strauss will be excused from the April, can you please repeat?
21st.
21st City Council meeting. Hearing no objection, Councilmember Strauss is excused from the April 21st City Council meeting. Now, is there any further business to come before the council? Councilmember Juarez, is that an old hand?
Yes, sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you.
Indian name.
All right, we've reached the end of today's agenda. The next City Council meeting will be on March 24th at 2 p.m. Hearing no further business, we are adjourned, colleagues. Thank you.